Well, thank you to the Youngberg and the extended family here. Thank you for putting all this together. And I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to meet all the grandkids and all the family members. It is just wonderful to see you all together. And honestly, I said this a few times. Paul's probably a little ticked off that I'm here without him here. Because I can't tell you the number of times he asked that Anu and I, my wife and I, stop and come over for a long weekend or a trip and spend some time here. And unfortunately that didn't happen. And that's another lesson we all need to learn, right? Is to do the things that we need to do. But it didn't happen. So nevertheless, Paul, we're here. I'm here in your backyard. This ride has been very difficult for me in many ways because in 2019 we started with the Patriots Pack for the first time, and Paul was instrumental in running everything on the ride. He was absolutely magical. He got so much done. He got us all working in sync in the RV, and he operated the machinery and everything and trained me. And I still look for him in the RV. And it's been very difficult. I said that to some of my RV mates, that it's been like, I keep thinking of Paul now. It keeps reminding me of, hey, we did this, or we did that, or at the gas station, this is what Paul said to me. Most times he was yelling at me about something I did wrong. We even stopped to dump at some point the RV, and Paul said, I'm going to train you on how to do it. So I said, all right. So I'm standing there. Paul's saying, what are you looking at? Go ahead, start. And I said, Paul, I thought you were doing it. I'm learning. He's like, yeah, no, you learn, you do it. So I had to pull out the dirty hose and everything and dump the RV. But that was Paul. Loved him for that. So it's been a bittersweet ride. But something very unique that occurred to me today was the reason I'm here personally is thanks to my Patriots Pack brothers. So several months ago when we were planning the trip, we had all the route, and the entire route was in the southern states for the most part, starting off in Scottsdale, ending up in Virginia. And in there, they inserted Cleveland, Ohio. And they said, we're going to go see Paul and his family. And I said, you want to go all the way up there and down? I mean, I'm loving it. I feel it's powerful, but are you sure? And there was no further discussion on it. So to my Patriots Pack brothers, a round of applause.
Here it is.
And for me, that made it so much more special to be part of this group, that all of them wanted to come and see my family, Paul's family. And I tell you, I cannot tell you how emotional it's been for me. But anyway, so I did want to write a few things down because otherwise I'll stop talking and choke half the time. So please work with me on this. So Paul Youngberg, or PY, as he often referred to himself, joined Ross International in 1999. I think we bought him as part of a large wholesale deal. It was packaged in somewhere. Over the 22 years that Paul worked with us, Paul was absolutely instrumental in the expansion and growth of Ross and Mars. And don't let anybody fool you, but tell you that he was phenomenal with what we achieved with his help and support. Paul was a hardened road warrior who believed in doing business the good old-fashioned way, meeting people face to face, and you all know that, right? Face to face, getting to know them on a very personal level. In order to accomplish this, he would drive thousands of miles in his Cadillac convertible, and more recently his Mustang convertible, which he called the Berg. The Berg also became PY's Patriot Pack nickname, one which he proudly wore. Marilyn was just telling me, so Paul had a vest just like what we're wearing, and she said he wore it around the house sometimes just because he was so proud of having it. Yeah. And I agree. After this, why wouldn't you? Paul was known for being very tenacious.
Is there a better word?
The dictionary describes tenacity as resolve, doggedness, steadfastness, and persistence. but I looked around and I also came across some amusing definitions for tenacity, namely sticky, gluey, and mulish. I'm sure everyone who knew Paul as well as I did will agree that all of these words define Paul perfectly. Paul interpreted things very differently, particularly when it came to business development. If someone said, "Please don't ever call me," Paul heard a strong maybe. You know, Paul, we don't need your services. I don't need it meant a yes to Paul. And let me think about it. He'd call me and say, "The deal's done, Raj." I mean, do you guys agree? David, Bill, I mean, all of you guys, Jeff, you guys all know John. I mean, all of you know who dealt with Paul, right? That was it. Actually, business prospects have actually called me with a request. Could you please call Paul off? And tell him to back off a little, right? Right. But I'm certain Paul, ever the optimist, thrived on rejection. He almost wanted as much rejection as success because he got a kick out of a no. Yeah. Paul had a treasure trove of stories and experiences that he had from his nearly 50 years in the industry. We've heard them all. If you knew Paul well, I'm sure you heard them all too, more than once. Paul was very devoted to his family. His wife, his daughters, his grandkids meant the world to him. You could hear his heart bursting with pride when he spoke of them. And I met so many of you today, this afternoon, and I'm so happy I met you because now I know who he was talking about. Many, many times, and I think you feel the same. Of course, Paul's passion in life was a good game of golf. Paul probably never went to the bathroom unless he planned a golf game on the way. Probably stopped to plan something. And at the end of and you know, I've heard us talking to John about it. At the end of 18 holes, he would ask quite often, "Do you have time for another 9? It's not dark yet." And that was Paul. Paul's passing has left a void and a deep sense of grief for me. I miss our daily calls, our text messages, conversations, arguments, disagreements, agreements. I will always regret that we didn't get to say our goodbyes. And I didn't get to tell him how much I appreciated him as a friend, a colleague, a family member, and a downright decent human being. Paul would be delighted to see us all gathered here today to celebrate his life. He's surely smiling down on us and lifting a glass with us. Paul, you were larger than life, my dear friend and a colleague. I miss you. Here's to your memory. Cheers.
Cheers.